Recording now. Okay, good morning, everybody. Today we're going to be talking with Dr. Peter Tinatale, who is the director of the Office of Protection and Advocacy of the Disabled, also known as OPAD here in American Samoa. So I'm going to turn it over now to you, Dr. Tinatale, to explain the program. Thank you.
Talofa, Sandra, and thank you for having me this morning. As Sandra stated, my name is Matautu Peter Tinatale, and the director of the Office of Protection and Advocacy for the Disabled. As a result of the Developmental Disability Act, amended of 1984 in June 4, 1991, the Office of Protection and Advocacy for the Disabled was started by Governor Coleman in 1991. So we are been officially an agency for the disabled since 1991. Our mission statement: committed to protecting the human and civil rights of people with disability through legal and cultural-based advocacy. Na lue punuai, mo le puia, o aia o tangata o lo o iai a fianga tu mau, le tino po le mafo fau, e ala patuanga e whawai I lunga o le anganuu ma le tula fono. I will try to go in both language as we talk, explaining in Samoan and in English how our agency work with people with disabilities. There are 57 states protection and advocacy agencies or system in the U.S. and the territories. 50 states, District of Columbia, and 5 territories, and the Indian Consortium for Native Americans. 57 states PA system comprised of 52 of them under the 52 governor designated nonprofit organization and 5 state operating agency: Alabama, American Samoa, Kentucky, North Dakota, and Puerto Rico. Usa elimas furus keke o lalo ole lalo ele o iai sipulenga les keke ya lato independent. Wapengale District of Columbia pole Google DC ka utwapupu. Lima ke koli le lalo les keke. Amik Samoa, Guam, Northern America, Puerto Rico, Virginia, Virgin Island, American Indian Consortium and Native Americans. Go umale lalo, proclama lea o pui aia, mawhawhi au, tūlanga o tangata lo iai awhianga tū mau tino por mawhawhau. Skeke umalingei o ngā lue lava o whamao I tūranga o ngi ala tamwhaio o tangata lo iai a whianga tū mau. So what does OPAD do for the people with disability? OPAD has 9 federal grants that provide protection and advocacy for people with disabilities from abuse and neglect. These 9 federal grants, I will go over those 9 federal grants that provide services that protects and advocates for their rights. First one it's one of the first that, again, we talked about in the beginning about protection and advocacy for developmental disability, which is PAD. or short by DD. And it was developed by and assisted by the Bill of Rights as amended in Administration on Intellectual Development Disability, or AIDD. Definitions include intellectual disability with mental retardation, which is intellectual disabilities, cerebral palsy, autism, and severe learning disability. Children in school with these disabilities are eligible for service under the Developmental Disability, or OPAD. Individuals with Disability Education Act has 13 different disability categories in the school age. Students with disabilities, students with learning disability make up about a third of all students with disability educational plans, or IEP. As I'm talking that, yes, we also deal with a lot with the students on developmental disabilities. And one of the highest population of that disability is the specific learning disabilities that are out in schools. Usa e iai a vanga nei e sini ko kele kongu ra onga o vanga leo iai le tūlanga o le afianga na tū mau o le mafofau. The second most common category in which special education service are receiving is speech impediment, or speech and language situation with trying to provide them with the speech and language education that they need. Third are other health impairment that limit the student's strength, energy, and alertness. Totele ai whanau o loo iai awhianga lato tino po lato mafofau. Ala lunga o whamai po ngai oinga mai ai lato health problems. So iai le veanga lato tele ai o le veanga iai le tūlanga mafofau whaitau ma le tustusi tūlanga nā le learning disabilities. Iai fwere veanga lea whapeo tautaha, speech impairment, o ngai oinga kulanga na whaiain, lako communicate mai isi tangata. Ia, whapena fwoi la I tūlanga o lato ngai oinga lako tino po mawhawhau. Ia, o isi koinga tūlanga lo iai a whianga ai lato tino po mawhawhau tonu la o iai tangata tele o lato a whianga tū mau. Others that special education deals help work with is multiple disabilities, meaning that they have not only one type of disability, but they have other disabilities also. They may have intellectual disabilities plus health issues for disabilities or sight, vision. So they have multiple disabilities. Developmental delay, hearing impairment. Developmental delay, again, is that you're not functioning at your age level or at the age that you're supposed to be functioning at, but due to your developmental delay, you're unable to be at that level. For example, if you are in the 6th grade, but you're functioning at a kindergarten level, that's the situation that you are in, and you need further support to put you up to level. Performance, again, these disabilities adversely affect the child's performance in school. The individual with disabilities, an individual educational plan in the schools, you must have an individual educational plan that guides and support the student's academic and social skill toward an independent life. O tonu a onga tauna iai le tūlanga leo IEP, o se tusinga ngā e whaiainga loa i le mātua i ngā luenga whaia onga e tamu whai ai si lunga le tamu whainga le whanau i o ai tūlanga le le tonu langa o langa pe amatua. The IEP is a very important document that helps the students and the parents achieve the goals that they want for their child in the special education services that they receive. One of the things that people misunderstand is that the student is a special education student when they're in school. No, they are receiving special education services, but they are part of the school. They are, if they're in whatever school they are enrolled in that school. Special education provides the services that they need to be able to perform and have a good understanding of where they want to be when they get out of high school. So again, one of I mentioned in the beginning that the highest population of students in school are specific learning disabled. Specific learning disabled, they have difficulty in reading and writing and calculation of math. So those are the areas that and yes, if they can achieve. And many of the students with specific learning disability are out in the community. They are working, they are having their lives, they are married, they do all these things comparable to everyone else. There are students with learning disabilities that need a lot more services from special education, and that is with all students that are able to receive the services based on their disabilities. And I explained that there are 13 different disabilities that are eligible for receiving special education services, and all of these services need to be evaluated. All of these students need to be evaluated so that they know what the student's disability is and provide them the appropriate educational services they need. Second, we will go into the highest population that provide us grant money is protection and advocacy for individuals with mental illnesses, or PAMI. Program is dedicated to protect and advocate for the right of adults with serious mental illness and children with serious emotional disturbances. It carries out activity to ensure that these individuals are safeguarded from abuse and neglect, and their rights are upheld in all aspects of their lives. O lesi nge vayanga sidi nga whaintang nga lako maua le sosoani o ye ro iai a fianga la mawhau. Sa yo o whanaule nei po tangata e whaintāia nga lue ai. Tele foi tangata whape ma whawhau ai. O tangata nei e le o whaintanga nga lue ai. Yeah, and whai lava nga lue ai. Pea tu atu ai fo i tosoani ati ai. Funding by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, PAMI requires a diagnosis be made by a certified psychiatrist or psychologist or qualified mental health provider. That program ensures that the right of individuals with mental illnesses are upheld. Kua maua fo'i le sosoani tangata ia ro ia a whianga mawhauwhau. Tauna soe i se for mai, was tangata fo inga lue ala the public health o iai la whaina mawhawhawa tu iai. Additional program, PAMI investigate incidents of abuse and neglect if there is probable cause to believe that there have occurred. Such incidents can be reported by the system, and investigating each PAMI grantee must submit an annual report detailing program and accomplishments and expenditures most recently completed fiscal year by January 1st. All PAMI approved annual grants applications are compared to the progress report, PPR, submitted for the same fiscal years. Everything that PAMI has are accountable for. You must have appropriate reports for them to get funded. So these PPRs are very important. We must have that. We must detail what we are serving them and how are we serving them, and that they're protected rights from abuse and neglect. That's very important because people sometimes take for granted and understanding that mental illnesses is harmful to other people, but in actuality, it's not. Very little of them are violent or have issues in the community. So this is why it's very important that we are accountable for how we work with people with mental illnesses. The third one that's a large area that we deal with is the protection and advocacy for individual rights, PAIR. This program, again, is under the Section 509 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. Again, funding sources is from them. One of the areas that we deal with PAIR is the ADA, American Disability Act, that deals with accessibility to buildings, accessibility public areas, accessibility in all different areas that an individual with disability sometimes do not have access to. This is why we had a legislation for parking, because that's the first route that a person has to get into a building. And that is why it's very important that we deal with parking issues of disability parking. That's one of the legislation we put in, is to deal to have public parking have disability stalls. Also, the accessible into buildings, schools, government offices, stores, private businesses, they're all under the ADA Act. ADA Act has four or five different titles that they deal with, and we want to continue to work with that to pair. The fourth is, again, advocate for assistive technology. These are the ones that deals with, again, a lot of fun assistive technology devices, Services to Rehabilitation Act, Medicaid, Medicare, and special education. PAT offers information and referral advocacy, which include informal, administrative, and legal remedies to help individuals with disability obtain necessary assistive technology. That's very important. That's very important now that assistive technology help people with disability access what they need in their lives. Even take, for example, the hospital, they have to have the right assistive technology to provide and services for people with disabilities. For example, just a very simple thing about a bed. I mean, if you don't have the right bed that you can get in and out of the bed, that's very simple technology that needs to be have for everyone, but especially people with disabilities. So they did not have that right. It would be very difficult for them to get through their lives without the appropriate assistive technology. The fifth one that I'm talking about is that our office works with is protection and advocacy for beneficial or Social Security. Well, what is that beneficial for Social Security? Well, it came out about the Ticket to Work Incentive Improvement Act. Many of our clients that here have Social Security might want to go back to work and make their lives full of being able to be around people and working. So this is where beneficial Social Security comes in. They provide them how to get employment and deal with this is what OPAD works with, is trying to see where they can get employment and be useful for themselves and the community. So that's where beneficials PAPS or beneficial Social Security comes in, is to help them find employment. Number 7, 5, 6. Another area is traumatic brain injury on the Public Health Service Act. It deals with traumatic brain injury, anything that causes a blow to the head, getting accidents, or any sports that you play. Those are things that you get to traumatic brain injury. And we also work with that. We offer and follow information, referral, individual system, systemic advocate, education, outreach, promote independent and self-advocacy. We just recently worked again with protecting and advocating for voting access program to ensure full participation in the electoral process for individuals with disability, including those who are elderly, power support individuals with disability, by ensuring that they full participation in the electoral process. This is again accessibility into the voting poll area, having ramps in the poll areas that you, or if you're unable to go to the voting area, that you are voting from home and that you have access to, again, being able to vote. We also must have electronic devices for those who are blind or are hard of hearing. Those are also areas that we look into. At a polling station, the election advisor election office is needed to provide appropriate accommodations that include demonstrating voting systems and technology to individuals with disabilities. E tauna yangia onga o ngā yoinga e tamwhai ai tangata lo o iai mana onga e pālota. Po le ala wasi ala tauna whai ai, mo le ngā yoinga latu, tauna watu ai, tauna whai point training. Tūnanga nā lo iai nei mai tau. O le vanga muri o le, the last is a client assistance program, is an advocacy initiative established under the Rehabilitation Act, supports individuals with disabilities seeking or receiving rehabilitation services authorized by the Act. CAP offers the following assistance service. CAP's le rehabilitation, vocational rehabilitation. Proclama nale mayaile le na yoyai matule client assistance program. Information and guidelines inform the advise applicant and recipient about all available service under Rehabilitation Act. Title 1, Employment of the Americans with Disability Act. Again, with the title, again, back to ADA, their Title 1 is Employment. Vocational rehab helps individuals with disability get employment. They also help people with disability establish businesses. And we, as a agency, have to work with them with Voc Rehab to get them to get an employment, get them to get their businesses that they need for their livelihood as a person with disability. So we investigate the concern and questions and complaints and applicant and recipient regarding the service provided under Rehabilitation Act. Proper resolution assists applicants and recipients in resolving issues that may encounter with their rehabilitation, counselor, or other services providers. Representative applicant and recipients in administration, legal, or other appropriate procedures when they are not receiving the treatment, services, or rehabilitation to which they are entitled under the Rehabilitation Act. Those are some of the things that we are entitled to provide for those people with disabilities. We have two advisory councils. The one with PAMI for individual mental illnesses, and PAD with developmental disability advisory councils. These councils must have include an attorney, mental health professional, individuals from the public not knowledgeable about mental illnesses or family or developmental disabilities, families members who care for or have an individuals with mental or developmental disabilities. So they must have, these are the people that must be included in the council. Each council develops its recommendation for its program, PAMI or PAD, the priorities for individuals with mental illnesses or developmental disabilities. The advisory council advised the P&A on priorities for protecting and advocating the rights of people with mental illnesses or developmental disabilities. Right now, we have those two councils are not filled. We should be with 12, and it's very difficult for us to get person. We need one more. If anyone wants to join or wants to be in the council, please contact us at 699-2441 or 2442 and be part of working with people with disability and help us with that. Last is our personnel here, and we have director, a deputy, a chief finance officer, a finance technician, 2 caseworkers, two case managers, administrative assistants, and a skilled maintenance person. Vacancy at this time is an attorney, 2 caseworkers, and a communication specialist. If you're interested in that area, please go up to Human Resources, apply. We are hiring, and if you know of an attorney or is an attorney, caseworker that works with all the cases through the case manager and the program director, and we need a communication specialist. So if you are interested in that, please put up, apply, and we will go through the same process in hiring. I want to thank everyone for bearing and listening to me this half an hour or so that I had talking with you. I hope that you have a good understanding of what this program provides and serve. Wako fo e whawhitai, whane lawa e kousa. O e alo mai mua mai video, ia moa fo i o tolu manosi mai ni tua, i tia fo i ngai oino tau whai e ni, ofisa mo tangata lo i ai, fianga tu mau la to tino por mafofau. Mai awa teli, so fua. Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
I hope that we still are.
Yeah, we're still. So I have a few questions I just wanted to ask.
Okay.
So a lot of great information, background, understanding of OPAD now. That's really good. And the councils that are involved, the grants that support it. That's great information. If let's just take an individual, maybe a parent of a child with disabilities who has some concerns about their child's, for example, their IEP. And they come to you for help. Take me through the process. What would happen? They walk in the front door. What do? They ask for what? For help.
Well, the first thing we'll do is take an intake form and see where and we will direct them to the program director that will be handling that referral or that intake. And once we get all the information from the individual that comes in for a person in that needs special education services. Once the intake is done, then we'll move on to what was the initial reason that they're in it. If they, for example, if they don't have haven't had an IEP meeting for their child, usually it's supposed to be annually and initially IEP. They have never had an initial IEP, then that is something that we would work towards getting them an individual IEP. If they haven't had an annual meeting, then that again, we will be working with them, advocate their rights on that. They does not have, we will take the appropriate steps to get them the services they need from special education. So
Right.
that's the first thing is the intake. Find out what exactly is the situation, why they're there, and how we can help.
And you will attend the
provide
IEP.
you?
Yeah, you can attend the IEP with them too for their support.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for asking that.
Yeah, really
yes, we are able to be in the IEP. I have been in many of the IEPs, and I have also we asked that if you want us to be in an IEP, yes, we can be in an IEP because that is again a regulation that a parent can have someone in the IEP that that understand special education's regulations and what they should be doing, providing services for their child in school. So, yes, we were able to be there.
Okay. Yeah, I like that too. Sometimes you go to an IEP meeting, it's good to have someone who's knowledgeable, who understands the process and can help you come out of it with an understanding of what just happened.
Yes.
Another question, when you talked about the mental illness, does that include, because we're seeing a lot of this now, mental illness that's due to drug abuse?
Yes. Again, they have to be evaluated by a psychiatrist or a psychologist before we can serve them. And drug problems, yes, we do work with other individuals with drug problems, but they may have, again, a mental illnesses and they don't want to take medication. They start off with the illegal drugs that it's easier for them and to get. They don't have to be at the hospital or any of the things that they don't want to go through. And yes, we can deal with that also. We can work with that. And that is a big problem right now is drug and people with mental illnesses, as you know, tend to not want medications from the hospital, or they don't want to go to the hospital, or they don't want the services that from the hospital or from anyone else. They want to just be by themselves and do what they want to do, and that's part of their mental illnesses that they have.
Yes.
So yes, there can be part of how we work with them, and again, it has to be they must have evaluated by a psychiatrist or a health professional
Yes. Okay.
before we work with them.
Another thing you mentioned, and I think it had to do with the abuse, like if someone came in and reported abuse, you mentioned an investigation would be done first. What would be the kind of steps that would occur for an investigation?
Thank you for that question. First, again, we would have to know from the report how their abuse is done, and then where did it start? How from there we will take it from there. We'll investigate through the police report. If this person is a person with disability, the type of disability the person has, or we want to work with that, and then who has been part of this person's life, who if it's in the family, we'll investigate all of that. See where it comes. And if it has to be taking legal steps on it, we also provide legal, depending on the situation and what it occurs that is part of their disability, and we will look into that also. So legal help is also there. As you can see, that I'm still looking for an attorney. We did have one, but if not, we will put someone on contract for that. But yes, we will do all the investigation first, find out from who they are in contact with, uh, uh, and how we can find out a solution.
Okay, that's good. My next question was just about concerning the assistive technology. I wasn't aware that you helped with that. That's awesome. A lot of our kids, especially when you talked about many of them have speech delays or problems, or maybe they're non-speaking. They may need an assistive device or like an iPad or something for communication. There's also kids like with their cerebral palsy who may need special assistive technology to help them to be able to write or to communicate or even just to move around in the school. So we know that our school system doesn't have an AT right now. I don't think they do. How do you help like kids there that need assistive technology then?
Well, we would go into because that that that's part of special education services that they must provide. As you may know, IDEA, um, the IDEA, Individual Disability Education Act, uh, they are funded to provide assistive technology, which is a very important part of services special education provide. You may mention that an iPad or even hearing aids, glasses, anything that deals with low or high technology that they must have, chairs, uh, all of this that they have, even eating utensils that they must use, special eating utensils, those are all technology. These are all that they're required to provide. So if this is why it's important when I mentioned the IEP, it should be when the parent goes in, find out what assistive technology their child needs. They know the best at home what they need. Uh, if it's speech, they need a speech pathologist or a speech and language teacher that deals with how to work with the person's auditory, and communication skills. That technology that they need. Maybe it's just that they need to test them for their hearing. They need to test them for their vision. That's all part of the evaluation process. That you evaluate any area that is suspected of the child not performing as he should in school. So again, technology is very important. Yes, we're looking to the special education. That is their requirement to provide the technical assistance that the student must have. Now, this is where we would come in, we work with them, and then if not, then we have to go higher in the process that we deal with them. And again, with that, we can work with the Office of Civil Rights on getting that stuff going in, or take legal actions. Those are areas that we are able to do.
What about if an individual is out of the school system? So we have an adult who needs special assistive technology. Would you then work with voc rehab with them?
Yes, they would work. This is where we advocate for both rehab or any other agency that working with them, public health. We would work with every agency to help them provide them with what technical assistance they need.
Okay.
We advocate. That's where we advocate. And again, neglect again is not. They're not providing the appropriate services. And if they're not providing the services that they are required to do, that's neglect. And again, that could also fall under abuse. They're not providing that for that individual that needs what he's required to do to get.
Right. Okay, another question I had was how does one go about getting a disability parking sticker? What's that process
Oh,
like?
yes, I think it's in our Facebook page that you need to come in, or you can get an application from it. And what is needed is the doctor's approval that you have a physical disability, cannot walk 200 feet
Mhm.
or less. You must have a physical disability. And once that application is signed by a physician, then we take that and then we provide the placard. The placard is $10, pretty much a rental placard. You can have it for 3 years, and then renew it every 3 years. And again, this is not some people come in and think that it's for anything that they, but if they come in or they say, I'm a senior citizen, I should have, it does not, because you're old does not mean you cannot walk, or you must have a doctor's approval to have you have a physical disability. Also, people sometimes come in and they say, well, you can have a temporary, someone that had an accident, and you can't walk far, or you're on a wheelchair for a period of time. there is a temporary placard, disability placard, for you to use for 6 months. Just comes in and have a doctor's approval. All application is through the doctor's approval. We do not approve any placard, and this is to go into a system. Again, the placard can be used in the mainland or in the States for the time you're there. Take your placard there and you can use it just like any other placard that's in the States. That wasn't possible before, but now it is now. So you can take your placard if you're visiting family states and use that as you go shopping or whatever you do that you need disability parking. So that's the process we do here, is that it has to be approved by a physician
Okay.
before we give them a placard.
So I have
Rent them
another
a placard.
question about, okay, so what if you have a child? This was my situation when Jasmine was young, but I know it's a situation for many parents, especially with children with autism. They're mobile, but they're not safe. So say you're in a place like Costuless or the post office where you're the larger parking lots. There's nothing up close. You have to park all the way on the other side of the parking lot. And what you're afraid of is as soon as you stop the car, your child bolts out of the door and you're scrambling to chase them to keep them from getting run over by a car pulling out that doesn't see them. So would someone like that qualify for a placard?
Again, if you go to a physician and you explain to them that, and he agrees on it, then we will honor that, give him a placard.
Okay.
There are situations, yes, I understand what that is, and then because it's not. It is a physical situation where he gets out and start running, but then other things that are, how do you be able that you understand that happens, and how do you work towards it? Having that secure situation with your child or a grown up.
Right. Yeah. Take off. So I
Yeah, take
think I
off.
wanted to mention too about these placards, that just for people to realize that just because they have a placard doesn't mean they have to park in this spot either. Especially like if they've got a placard in their car, but the individual with disabilities is not with them, they do not get to park in that spot. It should just be for the times when that individual is with them and needs that special adaptation. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you. You can't use someone else's placard.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, if we are out there, I mean, one of the things that many of the times that right now is usually we are doing that work for the police, and the police should be out there, and they're not. I mean, the police should be out there checking the placards, and if you're using someone else's placard, the placard will be taken away from that person. Or when we go there, we ask them, sometimes we think, that person is not a person that should have a placard. We would go there and ask for the license, because the license name should be on the placard.
Mm.
So the person that gets the ticket, even if you had your son drive or your daughter drive, they will not get the ticket. What's going to be the citation will be for the owner of the vehicle. The
Okay.
owner of the vehicle. So if you have the placard and all of a sudden you're getting a ticket because somebody drove the car and parked illegally in a disability stall. So that if you don't let someone else use it, and we have a lot of that into situation that have even usually people say, "Oh, I just came to drop off somebody." You can't do this. It's not a drop off zone. It's a disability parking, so you can get a ticket or a citation for just dropping off someone. And you understand that that's not a zone to drop off zone. It's a area designated for people with disabilities, physical disabilities.
Good.
Thank you for that question.
Okay, and that wraps up what I have. I just wanted to just reinforce also that your program is one of offering protection and advocacy through resources and support. It's not a program where you're going to issue money to anybody or you're going to buy them devices. This is strictly a very necessary support and for individuals that need this type of help. Yeah. Yeah, we really appreciate this program. Thank you.
Yes, and please, I mean, if you're out there and you need our services, come by and we'll explain more. And if we can help, we'll help you. I mean, we're here to help. We're here to provide assistance, provide whatever we can for any individual with disabilities.
Okay, so lastly, just tell us where you're located. I think most of us know, but
We're located in Tafuna, across from the uh, Veterans Hospital or place, or we're next to the election office.
election office, yeah, in Tafuna.
So if you're in Tafuna, just to turn off that goes to the main road, we're on that corner, the left side corner, or turning the right hand corner. If you're turning going to uh, uh, a store here, KS Mart.
Yeah, yeah.
Going that way, we'll be on the right corner, on the right, turning in.
Okay.
And the main road.
And open Monday through Friday, what, 8 to 5, 8 to 4?
Yes,
An hour.
we open 8 to 4.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I'm gonna stop.
Thank you again.